guys, when you play whoever the Illinois State, you're going to be playing for your fourth offensive coordinator in like a 15-game span.
Yeah.
How difficult is that? I mean, it's not one thing to say we got a new coordinator, but all of a
Yeah.
sudden you've had to learn stuff two or three times.
Yeah, no, it's just about adapting. I mean, a lot of it, different coaching styles, different things. But as a player, you learn to be coachable. So, whoever's back there calling the plays, you got to find out, what their scheme is. You got to trust it, and you got to go out there and execute with everything you got. So, it's a little difficult, but it's not too hard. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, it's X's and O's, executing the play, lining up, getting out there, getting the job done that you get done. And I'm excited to do that this year for Coach Arbuckle.
How much has the terminology changed? Is there anything
Yeah.
held over from last season, or is everything new?
I mean, it's pretty much all new. I mean, he has his own terminology, his own ways of doing things. A lot of the same schemes. Sometimes you just can't get away from some of the base stuff. Everybody runs the same kind of base plays, but it's different. It's different terminology, different things, but similar to the same scheme. So it's good to kind of be able to remember. This play was this last year, so now it's easy to remember it for this offense. But it's good stuff. Stuff that he can help us to remember easily. So it's good.
I always like it when you have a two-back set, two of you guys back there.
Yeah.
Has he put any of that in yet?
Yeah, there's some of that. Trying to keep the defense on their toes, mixing everything up. Different personnel sets, different grouping sets. Just to be able to get different athletes out there. Get different looks from the defense. Try and expose them in different ways that we haven't before. So just being able to mix that up and have those opportunities. Yeah, we do have some of that.
You haven't played with Coach Arbuckle, you haven't played with John Mateer, but does your experience as a football player on this field here for this program, does that give you kind of a leg up when it comes to picking things up and learning and understanding what they're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. I think football is a lot about experience, a lot about confidence, a lot about trust and knowing what to do. The scheme's great. I love what Coach Arbuckle is doing. I love John Mateer, what he's doing. But being able to be out there and know that you can compete, you can do this, you've done stuff similar to this. It kind of gives you a leg up when it comes to being confident and knowing what you're doing, and then being able to go out there and execute.
Can you even remember where you were at mentally when you got here 4 years ago compared to now?
Yeah, tremendous change. I mean, not nearly close to where I am now, but continuing to still grow. That's the key. Never being satisfied with where I'm at. Continuing to take every opportunity and take it as a lesson. Try to figure out where I can go, where I can improve, where I can get better, and then just continuing all of that.
Gavin, you went through the entire spring. You could have been protected, but you didn't. Talk about what you tried to get out of the spring this year, and what your goal was, and did you feel like you got there?
Yeah, continuing just to grow, get better in all facets of the game. How I play, whether it be running the ball, catching the ball, blocking, or even just football knowledge in general. Being out there, the best thing you can do to grow as football players is to be out there. So I wouldn't want to be held back. I want to love the game, love to be out there, love to do what I do. So I'm glad I got the opportunity to do that.
Is the Arbuckle offense is it running back friendly in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's scoring friendly. Honestly, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to make a lot of plays from all positions. So I love what he's doing. I love what he's calling. I love the schemes that he's doing. So I'm excited for it this year.
What are your thoughts on the young guy, Torrey Blaylock?
He's doing really well. It's hard for a freshman to come in like that, but he stepped up. He's a great athlete, great player, tough, smart mentally. He steps up and he gets the job done when he needs to get the job done. So I'm impressed. As a young guy, he's come in and done really well.
What's the hard part for a freshman to come in and do that? What's the hard part?
Yeah, for me it was a lot of the like you talked about experience and a lot of just how fast the game goes. The game is a different level here. When you get to college, so it goes faster. Everybody's faster, everybody's stronger, everybody's bigger. So learn to adapt to that. And then a lot of those guys have a couple 3-4 years under their belt of college football, and you're getting in there with none. So being able to adapt to that and learn as fast as you can and be able to compete against those guys, having that competitive nature, it helps a lot. But those are just some of the things that you got to be ready for.
Yeah, it felt like last year was just kind of a constant revolving door on the offensive line. Never really felt like they got the opportunity to get settled. What kind of growth have you seen out of that this spring from that group?
Yeah, no, a lot of leadership. A lot of leadership from that O-line, from some of the vets. Fabechi, Troy Everett, Jacob Sexton, Jake Taylor. A lot of those guys just stepping up in the room, leading and making that decision that they're going to be different this year, that they're going to be the best that they can be. So I've seen a lot of growth from them, a lot of growth, a lot of change, a lot of maturity. They're taking that aspect of we're going to take this seriously, and we're going to get done what we need to get done. No exception. So.
Looking across the way, just impressions of how good the defense can be, or how good
Yeah.
it's been.
No, they've been doing really well. I mean, stepping up, filling some key gaps, with
Sure.
Billy and Danny leaving. But, I'm excited for some of the guys that are filling those roles. They're competitive. They work hard, they play hard. Coach V always has, something up his sleeve, has some good calls. So, I'm impressed with what they've been able to do. And, I know I trust them, with everything. I know that they're going to be able to get the job done.